everybody. For those of you that saw me last week, this is Christy again, Fiona's daughter. I'm sorry about the sound in the background. That is the cat that is very unhappy that I'm sitting here talking to you as opposed to giving her attention. So I apologize for that. But, something that I just wanted to sort of follow up about. I know that for a lot of people, I've been getting messages and stuff this week, just people kind of, I suppose it becoming more of a reality, the anti-Semitism that is apparent in the earth everywhere. And what we saw this past week was just absolutely horrific, with the bodies of the youngest hostages being returned to Israel. And then, it should have been that their mother was with them, and instead Hamas continuing to play games of psychological warfare. Sent back a completely different body, and you could just see the entire nation of Israel being in mourning. The fact of the matter is, I live in Los Angeles, and Jewish people, my Jewish friends, are afraid. And the fact that in 2025, Jewish people or supporters of Jews have valid reason in the natural to be fearful is absolutely horrifying. And if you look on the shelf behind me, you'll see all these books I've got, whether it's the Bonhoeffer biography or, all these books on Israel and Josephus and all these different things. And my laptop's actually resting on one of my Bibles, and then on the Bonhoeffer's Cost of Discipleship book, because makeshift home studio. This wasn't that long ago that all of this happened. It really wasn't that long ago. And we're living in a world right now where anti-Semitism, I really believe that the levels of it are unprecedented. I believe that what Hamas has done, not in terms of numbers, because Israel's able to protect and defend itself, but in terms of rhetoric, in terms of genocidal desire, and in terms of the training of their children, I do think that Hamas at the moment, and especially the militant Islamic branch that you're seeing rising up all over the world, does rival that of the Nazis. In Nazi times, The Poison Mushroom was this book, I've spoken to you guys about it before, where the children were taught that Jews were bad, and, it was sort of forced reading for everybody that was from preschool up. But now, even if you just see some of the videos of children being taken by the Palestinian civilians and cheering as these caskets are being given to the Red Cross to be taken across into Israel, what are you supposed to do with a group of people who celebrate death in that manner and who have a desire to see the total destruction of an entire people group? The nature of this evil is the desire for genocide. And you can just see what the enemy has done, and he's been masterful in it, truly masterful. What the enemy has done is convince the world that Israel is genocidal, when in reality they're the furthest thing from. And you're going to be seeing all sorts of reports coming out accusing Benjamin Netanyahu of all sorts of things. But I do think he's probably got the hardest job in the world of anybody, because no matter what he does, he's going to get criticized. No matter what he does, one side is going to say this and one side is going to say that. So you're going to see reports coming out about how he could have acted a week before October 7th. But if he'd done that, then the world would have, freaked out and said, oh, look at Israel, they're being aggressors. So no matter which way you spin it, he's in an incredibly difficult position. And we're seeing the spirit. I believe it really is the spirit of Antichrist, which is the spirit of Islam. I don't believe it's a person. I believe it's a spirit. And I believe it's the same spirit that inhabited Haman. I believe it's the same spirit that inhabited Hitler. And it's the same spirit that now inhabits Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis, and whichever way you want to look at it, whatever name you want to give these groups of people, their ideology is theocratic and genocidal, meaning they believe that they've been ordained by their false god to be on the earth to bring about destruction, to cause the rise of an Islamic caliphate. And I know that this can sound very much like, oh, there they go again, talking about all this stuff. But at the end of the day, our job is to be watchmen on the walls. Our job is to be those people that are lookouts and that are standing there going, hey, there's danger here. And this is something that's dangerous. And specifically, I know the majority of you watching are in South Africa. South Africa is not falling on the right side of this history line. When history looks back, South Africa is seen as an incredibly anti-Israel, anti-Zionist nation, which is horrifying, but there's always a remnant. And so if you're in South Africa, if you're watching, what we can do is pray. What we can do is speak. That's something that I really have just felt a pretty intense conviction about, even for myself. It's easy to not say anything because of the backlash, but the thing that's haunting me is asking myself the question, who would I have been in World War II? Because I have to ask myself, who am I now? When the tagline for the Holocaust is never again, what we're living in right now is that never again is now. The day of the funerals of these Bibas children, the Palestinians had attempted to set off a bunch of bus bombs, and thank God they went off at a time when it wasn't rush hour on Shabbat, because they tried to do that, but they set the timers off wrong, and so they went off at 2 or 3 a.m. instead of 2 or 3 p.m. And one of my good friends out here in LA, her grandfather, not her grandfather, excuse me, her uncle is a bus driver in Israel. And so all of these things hit really close to home. Most of you will know Doobie. I obviously very close to him. He's family to me. And it's just the everyday not knowing what's going to happen. So my encouragement to you today is don't believe the lies that are being propagated. Remember this, the enemy masquerades as an angel of light. And there's a victim ideology that we're seeing all over the world, but especially in the West, that says that if you claim the status of victim, nobody's allowed to point out any flaws or faults. But this is a lie. What we're seeing, the Palestinian myth is one of the most phenomenally propagated lies, I believe, of our day and age. And so I'm encouraging you, don't fall for it. And yes, it's easy to get angry. God knows I've raged about things, but our battle is not against flesh and blood. It's against principalities and powers and rulers of this dark age. And so as you continue on your week, I'm encouraging you to pray, as always, for the peace of Jerusalem. I'm encouraging you to read, to attempt to find education on these topics. And if you'd like to reach out to me directly and find that out, you can email me on cdesfontaine at houseofdestiny.org. Same surname as my mom, so just C and then Desfontaine at houseofdestiny.org. I'd be happy to provide recommended reading materials or, people that you can watch that are way more knowledgeable than me, to be able to just help unwrap and unravel and understand what's going on. So as you go this week, again, I encourage you, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, pray for the safety of Israelis and Jewish people all over the world, and pray that the evil that is being so widespread would be exposed, and that the peace and light of God would shine upon the earth, and that His will would be accomplished. So God bless you. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you soon.